Hello and welcome to Chapter 146 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is Joe. Joe, how you doing this evening?
Oh, shit. Messed up something apparently. Hold on.
Oh wow, you sound like the
There we go. Sorry.
here we go.
So I got a new mixer. I don't know if you guys can tell.
You sound like someone from like the drag race on the big
I
mic.
hit the wrong button. And I see we've got a couple of people viewing right now. Can you guys hear me?
Because
Because
I
it's
can.
it's
It
a
sounds
brand
good.
new. This is literally a brand new thing I'm playing with. Starting recording with this one alone. Let me know if you can hear me because if not, I'll switch to the other one, my other mic. But
Just ask a question and somehow SBobs will get the notification and
let's
then
see.
come
S
into the
Bubs.
chat and hear you.
Um, how are you doing, Travis?
Yes, as I predicted, SBub says,
Yes, thank
"Yes,
you, S
we can
Bubs.
hear you." You're the man, SBub. I'm
All right.
doing well, Joe. I had my birthday this past
Yes, yeah.
weekend. It was fun. The big 3-5. So yay! I
Big
spent it
5.
relaxing. I went to the comic store, picked up a few comics, got a few Funkos from the What If line, and I watched BVS and watched a little bit of Iron Man 3.
Nice.
Myself and my girlfriend are going through. She's going through the MCU, so that's fun.
You doing that
So that's
chronologically or release?
release is what we're doing.
That's fair.
So yeah, it was fun day, cake, all that jazz. So uh, it was fun. But what did you do this weekend? Did you get up
Uh,
to anything?
I had 2 Thanksgivings to go to. My family's my side, and then, we had the Thanksgiving here in America at my house, hosted my girlfriend's, aunt and uncle. And then I was trying to organize my basement. And by organize, I mean take shit out of the storage area and basically put it into my area. And now I've got nothing but cardboard boxes stacked all around me that I need to get rid of because
You figured a storage area.
I'm trying to organize the storage area after the almost flooding that happened a few weeks back. So yes, it was busy doing that.
That's not as fun, but
Not fun at all.
it's neat that you don't want to lose any of your comics. Yes, Noel Gonzalez, we are
We're
excited
going to
for
talk
that as
about
well. We're going to talk about that as our opening topic. Before we get into all that jazz, though, I have to get the network plugs out of the way. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 8 shows in total. On Mondays is Ranger Alliance, and that rotates bi-weekly with Slice of Film. On Tuesdays is this show, DC Alliance. On Wednesdays is the Animation Nation podcast. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance. On Saturdays, bi weekly, is a walk through the multiverse. And Sundays, monthly, is World's Finest True Believers. DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And Marvel Alliance goes live Thursdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. All 3 of those shows also have their own podcast feeds. Search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance if you just want Marvel content, DC content, or Star Wars content. But if you want all 8 shows on the GUA Podcast Network, stay subscribed to the GUA on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically a tip jar. You like what we're doing, you want to help us out any way you can. And the $5 tier is where you get your extras. You get your ad-free episodes, early access to episodes like the one that I just posted before we went online today. I at the Animation Nation podcast did a special movie review that will be dropping sometime soon, not on Wednesday, of course, but we're still covering Rick and Morty and all the pissy goodness. I mean, all the goodness. Sorry, I had to say that.
Oh, yeah.
But I was joined by Nick Dednick from the Vigilante 1939 podcast, and we reviewed Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. It was
Ooh.
quite a fun discussion. We talked about, or like gave our spoiler-free thoughts, talked about what Batman Beyond as a whole meant to us, and gave our top 5 scenes, and of course, gave a rating out of 10 for the movie. It was a fun discussion, and patrons, if you're a patron, you can check that out right now. But if not, that'll be dropping sometime within the next week. So be on the lookout for a special episode of that. So we also have myself and Joe going through the DC films through the years. Swamp Thing has already been posted, and Superman 3 is on deck. I'm sure
Ooh,
we'll get a time together. Maybe we'll even watch Superman 3 and Supergirl and do some sort of back-to-back recording on them. Get the super. Uh, I almost said super goodness before I remembered what
there
we're watching.
no, hmm,
I
we'll
think
get
super
into it
goodness might have been super goodness might be stretching it a little tiny bit,
we'll
like
we'll
a
get
little
into it
tiny.
when we do the recordings.
Yes. So we thank everyone stick with us as we go through all the DC films through the years, including Catwoman. Don't worry, we'll get to that at some point.
So,
Yeah, we also have the
don't
Marvel
remind me.
Alliance guys doing their MCU rewatch. They just posted a new one to Patreon, Guardians of the Galaxy and the Groot short, I think was what they posted. So check those guys out there as well. We also have Joe's Multiverse Minutes. There's a lot of episodes of that up, especially the Halloween bonus episodes. We also have Clay's for the first time, where he watches shows for the first time. Right now, he's doing Game of Thrones. We have Katie doing her Star Wars comics. So we thank everyone that's a patron. But if you can't, if you can take a quick 30 to 60 seconds to rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice, it'll be greatly appreciated. It helps us be found, and that's always a great thing. Joe, I think that's everything. Now, I
See
don't
what
know if the
happens.
listeners heard that or not, but that was the Zelda theme that just frustrates the hell out of me. It reminds me of Smash Bros. Melee, where my younger brother used to tune me up with Zelda
Look,
and
like I said,
giggle
I'm gonna
about
be
it.
playing with this a lot. Gotta get used to it.
I hope they heard that. That's all I'll say.
Crystal, can you hear
Or
that?
you, or you're just going to drive me crazy the
Probably.
entire episode. Which you know what? Just because I'll be the only one hearing it, so you'll see me looking up. But we have a jam-packed episode tonight, Joe.
Yes.
No Stargirl because that is on Thanksgiving hiatus.
Mhm.
So we're left with the wonderful, fruitful Titans episodes to discuss.
Yeah,
But it's better
rest
than
of Smallville.
nothing. Better than nothing, and there's some fun stuff to discuss in there, and I look forward to that. But we have some news to talk about first, and CCXP 2022, like Noel Gonzalez said, is almost here, December 1st to 4th. Uh, he says, yes, bring DC at CCXP, the Flash trailer, Aquaman, Last Kingdom, Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, second trailer, maybe Blue Beetle teaser. I don't think Blue Beetle's going to be there from the research that I was doing today. But first, James Gunn is not going to be there as well, Joe. It kind of sucks, but he's busy. He said, right now, I'm creating the plan for the next 10 years of DC film. So he's not going to be there, but we're going to get some of the stuff that's already been in the can before he took over the role. What do you think about Gunn not being there, and you know what they have, what they're going to be showing?
Honestly, I'm fine with that. Because more than likely he's gonna be getting questions from both sides for the Marvel stuff, for the Guardian stuff. Sorry, for the DC stuff and for the Guardian stuff. Um, and that's fine. Like he knows, and he was on Twitter the other day talking about this. How yeah, he's got until March to promote the stuff. He's gonna promote his stuff. Um, him not being there is I think is okay because he is working his job. You know, he's trying not to take away from that to get the slate in place that he wants for the DC movies. You know, he's doing a 10-year plan that Zaslav has put into place. So
Yeah,
him not being there is not upsetting. Like I'm actually happy. I'm not saying I'm happy he's not, but the fact that DC is gonna have a presence is fine. You know. Um. What are
SBub
your thoughts?
SBub says that I believe last year the Peacemaker trailer dropped. I think you're correct, and the year before that, the Suicide Squad was a big player there as well.
True. True.
So he was thinking that maybe would reveal something there. But I can see him, Joe. This doesn't disappoint me at all because this would be getting too ahead of yourself if you only name him in November and you're throwing him out there with he's throwing a
Yeah.
plan in December. He said some things, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show, that encourage me, but also cause me a little bit of pause because you're really stretching it your net wide. But I think we'll see him doing his whole Kevin Feige best interpretation of Kevin Feige at SDCC next year,
Yes, and
when
he
there's
did
some time.
mention because he was asked about maybe something coming, um, before SDCC, And he's like, "Yeah, no, I guarantee you're probably gonna see something come out between CPAX and this or
Oh,
C."
something will leak after the presentation to WED.
Yeah,
100%. Where it be speculative and he have to correct it or not, there will be a way. But I'm not. I don't. This doesn't concern me as much that he's not there because he's not a part and had a hand in these DC films that
correct.
are
So
already in the can.
he should. I'm not saying he can't take any credit because I think I've mentioned on here. If not, I mentioned in the group chat my friend who is my neighbor who's working on Flash. He told me just like last week, the week before that Gunn has already said he doesn't want to tweak some of the Flash stuff, but he's giving notes already. So he's obviously going to have a hand in these movies, even though they were made and brought about before his time.
Yeah. I think the only one 100% that he won't have a hand in is Shazam because that was in the that we talked about that a couple
Yes.
of weeks ago. That David Sandberg said it was in the can. I think roughly around the same time that Gunn was announced for the November 1st, or maybe like on that week of November 1st, he announced that the
Similar,
film
yeah.
was in the can. So I don't think there was a way that he could, depending on how early they knew about this. Like this could have been in the works for a couple months and we didn't know. Maybe the Dan Lim was a smokescreen. But I'm more excited about what they're bringing
Yeah,
to
so what do you think we're gonna get?
because Noel says that about uh, the Flash trailer. I don't think we're getting a Flash trailer,
Yeah, I think
Noel.
we are.
I think we're getting a Shazam trailer. I think we maybe yeah. You know what, Joe's thinking about it because we've already gotten 2 sneak peeks. We haven't gotten any trailers
Well,
for
so
this film.
here's the thing, and this is my justification. Talking with my neighbor again, he said that there is a Flash trailer coming soon.
Yeah,
I asked him like end of the year, and he's like, possibly. So because I assumed we'd get something in February. I think we even talked about that in the group chat.
yeah.
But yeah, no, he is saying that, and from what he has told me, yes, they are not completely done with the VFX, but they have done a ton, and they have how's the best way to say it? They've done throughout, different scenes through the movie, so they can easily have enough material to have a trailer out there. We've already gotten teasers, like you said. Um, so I can see us having a Flash trailer at CCXP.
I would love that. I know we're getting panels for Flash, Shazam, and
Aquaman, I believe, right?
Aquaman, but
Yeah.
nothing for Blue Beetle announced, which that disappoints me a little bit because that's finished just the actual filming, but not obviously the VFX, and it's coming out in August before Aquaman. But uh,
Yeah, but Aquaman also, I mean, all these movies got pushed back. So, and Aquaman was supposed to be December this year, right?
as Bob says, I think Joe has more reliable info from his neighbor than
Which is
99% of
why
supers.
I'm keeping my mouth shut, S Bubs. I know a lot
100%
more
as
than I
Bob.
should.
The one thing we haven't talked about the whole Superman Henry Cavill might not have a contract actually because it really was a joke to me. I was going through some of the sites and literally 2 days before they had Superman's coming to the big screen. Here's 5 stories we think could help, and 2 days later it's like, oh, it's in complete doubt now. He might not take over. I'm like, okay, you're just doing this for getting a
Clickbait.
rise out of people. So yeah, if we get any concrete information, we'll talk about it. But until then, we're gonna wait, and maybe Joe's neighbor will tell us something, like he's in the Flash or
So
something. Maybe.
I'm in the Flash, definitely. Um, yeah, I can tell you stuff about Flash, and even that I have to be diligent on what I say. But
Even Chris.
howdy, Chris. Um, yeah, so I'm not saying squat.
We're gonna hold that in. We're gonna hold that in.
Yeah,
That's the secret's taking to the grave. Yeah. So I think for sure we're getting another Shazam trailer. I'm interested
I
to
think
see if there's any connection to Black Adam or any reference at all. I was hoping, Joe, that in the actual film, maybe it took place around the same time,
yeah, I'm thinking, yeah,
po-
I think it's
and
current,
one
honestly.
thing that I
So
thought would
that'll
have
be
been
a
really
good,
cool is
connection.
one thing that I thought would be really cool is if like when Billy's not around the Shazam family and any of them activate their powers, he could hear them say Shazam.
He should be able to hear it or feel it.
Because if he can, then when Black Adam says the words to turn himself in for Hawkman, then says them again, I would love if twice he just takes it like what was that? Like kind of a little. But I know that
Just
won't
a
be the
little,
case. But I wish he would take
but
a
that
little.
would be cool though. Like
Yes.
if he can feel it, not hear it, if he can
Yeah.
feel it and he he feels it and he's like, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would love that. That actually would be a really cool mid-credit scene or end credit scene, depending on what they do.
Yeah.
Um, I would like that because you don't have to mention Black Adam in the movie. Would I like
No.
it? Of course, I would love the name drop. I would love the connectivity, but having him feel Shazam being said and feel the power going somewhere, he's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, like I don't, and then maybe the end credit scene, if that's in the actual film, maybe the end credit scene is him like seeing on the news the chaos that happened at Karnak.
Maybe, yeah. I don't think it.
Uh,
I don't think it. I because this is supposed to take place originally
this is a
before.
good point too that All in the Game says here, which is have Gunn, Safran, and The Rock acknowledged each other since appointment? They have not. I think I might have heard The Rock say one thing about James Gunn positive in one of the press junkets for Black Adam. I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't think because he's put out new quotes about Superman being unused and that he has a direct connection to like Abdi and DeLuca.
Mhm.
So I, I I think The Rock's in the game. I think he knows. I don't think he's gonna like power move James Gunn because I don't think he's gonna keep Superman on the sidelines. But it would be nice to hear out in the game. It would be nice to hear The Rock like put out one of his hype video for James Gunn's announcement, or maybe like post a meeting with them. He'll be like, I'm excited for the future of DCU. So
Yeah,
that
they have
could
to have a
come.
meeting
So
first.
that could come first. So we just hold it because he even mentions Gunn even mentions that he hasn't sent like nobody has contracts or like they haven't sent any contracts for this new plan or anything. So uh, we'll hold the course on that. And like we talked about, Joe, I really hope you're right about the Flash trailer. I wonder would that lose any steam with Marvel's panels there because apparently we're going to see more about Quantumania.
Yeah, Noel's in the chat. He's hyping up Marvel. Noel, yes, Marvel's gonna be awesome. I mean, I want to see all
And
too. But
Noel, you get
Noel,
in
sorry, Noel.
on Thursday 9-10 p.m. Eastern time on the same very channel. Make sure you subscribe because the Marvel Alliance guys, Chris and Brent, will be breaking down everything, and I'm sure they'll
Yeah, they
talk to
probably have
you
a couple news drop from it. Yeah.
because if we talk about Marvel 2 line, like there's snipers here, like same as Kevin Feige got, that we'll get shot down immediately. So we got to keep it smooth and rolling on DC here, even though we both love Marvel as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's exciting. I think we can both 100% agree we're getting a Shazam trailer, another Shazam trailer. I don't know. I hope we get a Flash trailer. I know we're not getting an Aquaman trailer yet. I'm pretty confident about that because you're not going to put that so far
Not
ahead.
when you have Shazam. No, not when you have Black Adam. What the heck movies? Flash and I guess yeah, Shazam right around the corner. So you'll hold off on Aquaman right now. But I can
Yeah,
definitely see it within the first quarter of next year.
I could see
Maybe
it
even
attached
Super
to
Bowl.
Shazam film.
Yeah,
I really could. I could
that's
see you getting
quite
the
possible.
Flash, or it could be attached to the Flash film because you have Blue Beetle too. If
You know
we
what
get
they could
all
do?
four.
They could do like a little special promo, like a minute promo that is going to announce the movie.
Joe, we don't
But
talk
that won't
about the
go.
DC films thing because half of those films we're not even getting until the
I
following year.
know.
But 2023 is poised to be a huge year for
Yes.
DC with 4 films. If they can get them out, that would be great. Chris says it'd be so weird for them to drop DJ after he worked to get Black Adam done after 15 years or whatever. The box office numbers are not great. We'll talk about that later in the news roundup. But
But
the digital sales were good for the first week as well. So you got to actually say, like take everything into account because it's not just.
I don't think they're
Uh,
going to drop them though. I
no,
honestly,
there. I don't think so as
it's
well.
going to be it's going to be some discussions, and it's going to be like, all right, well, you can't really do what you were planning,
Yeah,
but we'll bring you in and figure something out.
I
So
think he should be a member of the Justice Society. Like, I think because that you
agreed,
have
because
comic
he was
precedent
at one
there,
point. Black Adam
and you could be the
became there
heavy
at one
hitter.
point.
And even with Black Adam, you might be able to get your confrontation with Superman in that struggle. You could have a JSA versus Justice League in terms of like an issue that they're not agreeing on, and you could get the fight between that. So 2022 is the
2022
year of the heroes.
year
I mean,
hero.
2023. We got the Batman. There was no way they could put that one on ice, yes, Bubs.
No.
So yeah, we're excited for that. We'll obviously break down everything that comes from that on the next episode. Uh,
Hopefully,
yeah,
it's not on. Yeah, because that'd be the 4th of Sunday. Yeah, yes, we'll
yeah,
break it all down.
we'll break it all down.
We'll actually
We'll
have news
yes,
before and not like the day after.
yes, and it's always a great thing when we get news like that. Joe, I think that's everything for this topic that we can hit. Let's
Yes,
take
sir.
our first ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1.
A
And we're
few
back.
moments later.
We'll get better at that. We'll get better at that. That would be a nice, a nice one.
Play with it. I'm just saying.
Joe, you're the mixer guy.
Yeah, I've got spots for 3 more things, so I don't know what I'm gonna put on there eventually. But
Maybe we'll get a I Am Vengeance, I Am the Night, or I Am Batman, or something.
I don't want to take it away from Greg. Greg's got that on lockdown over at Chasing Squirrels or shit. What's the podcast called?
Geeks Chasing Squirrels.
There we go. Geeks Chasing Squirrels.
So we have a new Doom Patrol trailer and new poster for the next season, which starts on the 8th of December, picking up when Titans takes a break. I'm going to share my screen.
Yes.
And we will discuss this
I tried
trailer.
to find the new picture, the new poster for it to put up on the background, but couldn't get one for JPEG.
I'll share my screen and show the poster as well. You're getting a scene to the notes there for a second, viewers. But this is a pretty cool poster. You get in all the characters here.
I like it.
I think this might be the last season for it, but I'm really,
so
really excited.
Like this season was really good. Like I've enjoyed the show from the get go because it was such a just a random collection of heroes that, hey, we're a team, and it works.
Okay, let's go back. And I will say one thing before we even start that I have issue with is that they've completely cut all casts for Cyborg now. Like, are we even calling him Cyborg anymore?
Well, they always called him Vic. So
well, he's Vic, for sure, because that's one of the disappointing things for me. It's just I actually enjoyed his look in the first season, Joe. Like I really did.
Yes, but I definitely think he'll have it all back by the end of the season.
I think you could be right about that as well. Just remind me of Legends.
Because right there, like he has a makeshift one.
It seems like he's a Ghostbuster here.
I mean,
obviously it's not really, but
it definitely felt more
she's fighting the butts.
Oh, the butts.
Oh boy. So yeah, this is a pretty crazy trailer. What's his name? Kipley, Willoughby.
Kipley, yeah.
He comes to tell them that essentially Immortus is real and it's coming. Joe, do you know anything on the comics from Immortus?
Nope.
No, we'll look that up after.
Yeah, I meant because this is the first time. Well, not this, but when you shared this trailer in the notes, first time I watched it, because the trailer I watched 2 weeks ago was definitely not this.
No, it was focused like 45 seconds at least was on the butts. This here is essentially, this flew under the radar. I don't even know if this was shared in our GUA chat. It basically gives us the actual story of the season, like what they're going to be going up against.
Like I said, yeah, it feels like
which is
dystopian. the time machine robot head.
Time machine robot head. Immortus will rise. And basically they're in the pursuit of immortality, which really ties this together because the majority of these, outside of Vic, every other person in the Doom Patrol is immortal.
Well, sort of.
Sort of. Well, they're against
they were each season somebody was dying, but they've been alive for a long time.
It seems like they're teasing in this trailer as well that it might be like
because Willoughby is like Yeah, have you realized that you guys haven't aged at all? Like, you're starting to, because your immortality is gone.
Yeah, they're taking it, and there's like just so many things going on at once that I don't understand. But we will get to. I do like that. I'm forgetting her name now. The new addition to the patrol. She's debating being a hero
Oh,
in
Madame
this.
Rouge.
Madame Rouge,
Can't remember
yes.
what her name is, but
Right here, we get
yeah.
discussion between Rita and her, and Rita's game. This is just classic Doom Patrol, which is completely crazy and backwards. And this, Joe,
Codpiece! Fucking
this is what I
codpiece.
wanted to tell you. I immediately thought of you when I saw this.
And I mean, every time I see him, I think of my co-host friends over at the Fortunes of Comic News, because they have been pushing this villain into any sort of media for the last like 2 years.
We've got him in animation and now live
Yep,
action.
exactly. They were extremely happy.
And it looks like he's
So,
pretty powerful too. And they're saying they have to go back to where it all began, basically when
which
they
is interesting because they look like they're back in the, I don't know, 80s, maybe?
Vic with the and obviously they have to show us the dancing
Mhm.
butts.
The butts.
But yeah, there's another shot of Vic
Dystopian
wearing
Vic. Yeah.
yeah. Crazy. I don't really know. I'm just essentially with them, and I love the one liner here that Cliff throws in. We'll probably get another
Oh, we're gonna
uh
get a lot of foreshadowing to that, I think. This Oak Cliff.
oh man, and
But
Rita
there we
kicks
go.
him and he's back.
I
Just a
am
classic.
so looking forward to this. And I'm
I'm
also
really
happy
excited.
that they're doing what they're doing with Titans, and they're splitting it up. So we'll get another episode of Titans this week, and then we'll start Doom Patrol. Are we getting 2 episodes drop, or is it just going to be one? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I assume too, Joe, just because
Because
that's the
they've
standard
been that
with
with Titans.
Titans, but
So
it
then
could be
we'll have
bad
7
because
weeks of Doom Patrol, and then back to Titans to finish it up, and then
I
back to Doom Patrol. So I'm
I
looking forward
think
to
I'm not 100% sure on that because Doom Patrol's had less episodes per season than Titans. Like 10, I think, is Doom Patrol's standard
it.
operating.
Was it?
Yeah, and Titans is
Either
like
way,
13.
but they are budding it up. Like, we're not gonna have a week of no HBO Max content.
Ernesto, we
Okay.
talked about this earlier, but we expect there to be at least a Shazam 2 trailer and possibly a Flash
Yeah.
trailer as well. So be on the lookout for that. Rewind and hear our thoughts on that. It was a fun little discussion. Joe, I'm really excited about this. Like you said, I can't wait for us to start talking about that. But we have to go on to talk about what is actually airing right now on HBO Max.
This
The
show.
show that's going to go on break after this next episode. Uh, season 4, episode 5, Inside Man. Joe, what do you think about this episode overall?
Um, I messaged you today before you had watched it, and I told you it wasn't a bad episode. It was just fine. Like, there's not a lot here. A couple of highlights. Jinx is I'm really liking her character in this season. I was really concerned when she showed up in episode 2, because she basically just kind of screwed over Dick. Plus the
Yeah.
fact that she knew all about the secret identity, but she has made a really fun aspect of the team, and I've really enjoyed that. We were trying to remember. She made a couple jokes in this episode that neither one of us can remember what they were,
But
but
they were funny at the time. Like I
yeah, I
chuckled.
laughed when I watched it. And then the Tim and Bernard interactions. There was one moment when they were being chased by the snake, and they like hide behind the door, and it looked like they were gonna. And I'm like, that's a terrible moment. Like, don't do it. And they didn't, but they had their moment later, and I really enjoyed that. I think Tim is um
Thank you
starting
for
to,
listening,
yes,
Ernesto.
sir, become a. I know he thinks he's just being sidelined, but at one point he stops the snake from getting Bernard, and Dick's just like, "Hey, looks like all that training's paying off, huh?"
How many times do you think Dick was put on monitor duty by Batman starting off?
Constantly, and he did the
Constantly.
exact same reaction of like, "Why am I here? This is stupid. I want to go somewhere. Let's go."
Alfred probably told him the lessons that he needed to learn when that was
Probably.
happening. Batman thing. But Joe,
What was a couple of your highlights?
I really enjoyed this episode. Well, some things in this episode. especially the Bernard Tim stuff. The moment at the end that was really nice, like wholesome, made me smile. I thought it was fantastic. Where I thought honestly thought he was talking about his movie Made to Kill the Snake. Like I was totally in Bernard's corner, even though the vibe was there that we were going to kiss. But I was in Bernard's corner of like literally being like, "You're talking about you can just kill the snake." Like, no, making my move right now.
Yep,
And it was just
that was cute.
nothing else was said after that. It was just a nice moment.
I loved it. It really was.
Yeah, like I said, Alfred was always his real name.
Yeah.
Definitely in this show. Definitely in this show.
Well, and I mean, if you ever read the comics, he was the mentor to every single. Yes, Bruce is there, but Alfred was the mentor to every single Robin. Like that's
Yes.
nothing more. That's definitely apparent in the Robin comics to Damian. But whatever, we're not talking comics here.
There is a couple things that I didn't understand, like the whole diner. Like I didn't know that was magical. I thought that was in her dreams, and now it's an actual thing. And that
Well, okay,
person
so
isn't a figment; it's more of a
it's the
magic.
diner that they met Bruce at in last season.
Yeah,
So it holds a sentimental place, obviously. But yeah, when Starfire had their vision in episode 1 or 2, I don't know if it's so 13's good. Like actually
yes.
13's that sweet spot. I don't want anything longer than 13 episodes all in the game.
I did like The Boys and Peacemaker at 8,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I think it
But
depends.
even 10 is a good mark too, but like anything past 13 anymore, I
Yeah,
it's questionable for me.
I think it's some shows like on the game says 13 can be too much, but I think 13 for some other shows is not. Like
Yeah.
I think Daredevil did a couple 13s. I could be wrong there, but I know that some of the shows did a couple extra, and I
But
don't
those are
don't think.
different because they weren't fully hour longs. Like some episodes were 45, some were
Yeah,
an hour 6. Like it all kind of evened out.
yeah,
But back to the diner. It yeah, her having that going there in her mind to see the person was one thing, but she walked up to that jukebox and pressed a certain number of keys, which then magically took them to this
well, the
place.
same combination as she pressed before.
Yeah,
I
I
did
don't know.
really
It was weird.
enjoy the memory flash forward of her potential future and her and Dick have a relationship and a kid, and I'm like, oh, this is
Did
so
you
cool.
okay, hold on now. Did you notice when they sung happy birthday to the kid? So they're singing happy birthday. You everybody knows how that goes, right?
Yeah,
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear name,
yeah,
happy birthday to you. They're like, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear you, happy birthday to you. It's like name the kid at least. Come on.
yeah. At least give a name that would have been nice. I thought that was still a cute little thing.
I liked the interaction. And I liked it last episode. The interaction between Rachel and Sebastian. They're the sibling because they are siblings. They're
Yeah,
half siblings. Um, her trying to reach out to him and make him feel loved, I think is a nice interaction. I like that chemistry. I don't like. I'm not saying that there's going to be anything weird with that. But
no,
I like the her trying to reach him and have him feel loved. Um,
you can tell this is the first time besides his mother that anyone's ever treated him like this. He even
correct.
mentions it at the very end. Like he looks at her and says, like, thank you for being nice to me.
Well, and then even he had talked when Starfire was supposed to kill him, and he was kind of worried. And she's like, "No, I'm not going to kill you. You are not. You may be bad, but you're not bad now." Kind of a thing.
I will say, even the show is so ridiculous that I didn't think that it was out of nowhere that she would try because of how gritty the show is at times. I thought that maybe now she's gone through enough character progression that it would have been a disservice to her that she did that
Correct.
because she has grown from the season one where she figures out her potential destiny and tries to kill Rachel for a
That's
little
the other
bit.
thing. Like this person, the mentor of hers, is saying that wasn't your destiny. You were just there, and Rachel had the good in her to stop Trigun. This is your actual destiny, which I found interesting because it was stated in episode 1 of the season. She's had multiple destinies this entire show.
Yeah.
So why is it? Is it multiple destinies, or are they all actually one destiny that just splinters off? You know, like
And
What's wrong
she
with that?
potentially could be the one that defeats Brother Blood. There's
Maybe.
twice now the other lady alluded to more power that she has not tapped into yet.
Correct. Yes.
So there could be a extra level up.
Oh
Uh,
God.
sorry, had
Bad.
to Flash fans. Uh,
Okay.
Joe, I'm never not gonna laugh at those.
Nope.
Yeah, there was some exciting things, but the Superboy stuff didn't make much sense to me.
That was annoying.
Where it he didn't tell anybody. It, the last scene we saw him in the last episode, a snake was attacking him, and then it didn't really attack him. Like it stayed there, or did it attack him?
No,
Like
he
the
picked it up. He picked
yeah,
it up
but it
into
looked like it
the
was going
toilet.
at him at the very
Eh,
end of the episode, so I thought it was
no,
going to attack him.
because that's the snake that slithered out,
Yeah,
and
cause
that's
some havoc.
yeah.
But I didn't know that would turn him into the Joker.
Uh,
He went crazy on that bed, like multiple times,
I mean,
acting.
that was Mother Mayhem controlling him, but still, like none of that made sense at all.
No, it made no sense to me. And the piece de resistance for making absolute no sense for what you've established in the past 3 seasons. Gar turned into a virus.
Hey, he turned into something.
He
That's
can't
one.
turn into like multiple
That's
animals, but he
one.
can turn
But
into a
still, though,
virus.
that's one. He turned into what? We've got what 7 more episodes for him to turn into
And we didn't
at
really even
least
see him
3
turn into anything because he was already that virus and they injected him in. So we didn't even
yeah.
see him turn into. I'm just saying, like it's getting a little bit ridiculous here. It's like you're insulting us a little bit in terms of him never transforming.
If by the end of this show he does not turn into anything else, I will be pissed.
Yeah, it would be.
I mean, we already have
Oh,
I have it written down. You said 4 to 5, I said 4. So he's got to turn into the animal at some point in time, right?
and Jinx taking out Superboy super quickly, even incapacitating for just 3 minutes. I just love like it just
Magic.
adds a little bit to her, and it just goes back to her trash talking him saying that Superman like
Yep.
hates magic is actually kind of true. So yeah, there wasn't any action in this scene minus the sorceress trying to kill Sebastian and stopping, and then the little bit of fight when Mother Mayhem comes at the end. What do you think about her killing her best friend and the best friend being on board with it?
I mean, they both are followers of Trigon. Trigon is basically saying, "Do this." Makes sense, but
On the game says should have made it clear that I think that CW type shows like Stargirl should be 13 episodes, but the Darker Grave stuff. I agree with that.
yes, yes, the whole
100%.
game. Yeah, I agree with you
100%.
on that one,
Yeah.
100% too.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's the shows on streaming services should not be longer than 10 episodes.
Yes, I agree
Thir-
with that as well.
13 is kind of reaching, but 10 is probably like it's the sweet spot. Shows on
And
CW,
be
shows on TV.
consistent. Be consistent with your episode length. That is a frustrating thing with me that you can just go willy nilly. One episode's 39 minutes, next episode's 51.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a Netflix thing, man. You can't get
yeah,
that. That
it's even a
they,
Titans thing at times, but
but that's what
usually they
like
reserve
I
it
mean,
for.
like
Usually,
Netflix did it. Heck, we're having that issue, not issue, but Disney Plus is doing it with the Marvel and Star Wars shows. Like, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so this was just an average episode,
It was fine.
Joe.
Like I said, it
It
was fine.
was it was
It wasn't.
seen a lot worse from like last season. So
Yeah, like yeah. So far, being we are almost halfway done with the season, I'm definitely enjoying it more than I did
hmm
season 3.
hmm
So
I'll agree, especially the last episode before this one was really good as well.
last week's episode was great. That was
I'm
definitely
really,
the best season.
really excited to see the finale of the
Mid-season.
the mid season
Yeah.
finale because it's entitled Brother Blood, and by the end of this, when Mother Mayhem takes him and the people are chanting his name, it seems like he's starting to like that.
Which is
So
weird because yes, he's getting the attention, he's getting the adoration from people, but it seemed more like they were groupies slash like fans at a concert, like screaming, "Oh, I love you!" ah," other than like actually wanting to be around him. They have this idea of him that Mother Mayhem is instilling in them, and he has to live up to that. So it's gonna be interesting to see when he doesn't, and the crowd turned, because we saw a little bit of that. We saw a little bit of
Yeah.
that at the beginning of the episode when some of the acolytes were like, "Well, Mother Mayhem, we your son's not here, and so we're starting to fault her." Like, it's definitely gonna be a quick turn, and that's gonna be the flip for Sebastian to either go back to being good, air quotes good, and joining up with the Titans, or flipping to Brother Blood completely and wrecking havoc.
Yeah, which I'm gonna put my money as a
It's
gambler on the
probably gonna be on
latter.
the ladder,
Yeah.
which is gonna
Uh,
definitely hurt Raven, which is, or Rachel, which is gonna be kind of sad.
she may even be the one that has to take him down,
I could see that.
getting that red crystal back. I'm really curious to see how this is gonna go, Joe. I wish there was a
Okay,
little bit
there's
more.
potential, and so far this season, it's been juggling, but it hasn't dropped the ball.
Yeah, it's not like it has me interested. I'm
Yes.
not caring. Like I was genuinely interested. I'm I'll be completely honest with you, listeners. I'm very worried going into each of these episodes, especially Joe watched them before me. So I kind of ask him, kind of not, just checking in
Yeah,
to
sometimes
see how
I
see if
know
the
last week
episode's
I
super
told you, "Hey, it
terrible.
was great." This
Yeah.
week I didn't give you a heads up until later.
Which is about what it was, is what how you handle that, so I'll know that going forward, but,
Well, it was
yeah, I
more of a
just
I didn't
because
watch it until late, so
being burned last time, I'm a little hesitant, but I'm really excited to see the mid-season finale and for us to
yes.
talk about it, and to have Stargirl come back as well to talk about her penultimate episode well, series, the last one for her penultimates, and then we got the series finale the following week,
Yep.
uh, so we'll actually no, yeah, we'll end Titans next week, and then Stargirl into a week
Yeah,
after that, and
we have 2 more episodes of Stargirl.
Doom Patrol picks up the
Yep,
same week Stargirl ends.
yep.
So still have some DC content on the course, so we thank
Yeah, like I
DC
said,
for
we're
that.
gonna have content with the shows budding up on HBO Max like they are. We're gonna have content for a bit, but
Yeah.
after that, we'll, hopefully have some movies, we'll see.
So Joe, let's take our potentially final ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. Gonna give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Oh, wrong one.
A few
There we
moments
go.
later.
And we're back. It's gonna be really fun editing this episode after we're done here.
Oh, no, keep that in there.
Oh, I'm definitely they're not gonna coming out. I'm just gonna be while I hear them when I'm listening through the episode.
I hope so.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Although, I mean, I think they hear them in
In the
listening.
chat. So we're good. We're good. So Joe, we're on to the DC news roundup of the week, and first and foremost, Shazam 2 makes DC EU history. You would know this if listeners, if you were paying super attention, but with Shazam getting pushed back a bit, maybe you might not. Shazam Fury of the Gods director David F. Sandberg revealed in the latest issue of Empire that the villains of the sequel are completely original and not based on any comic book characters, marking the first time that a DCEU project has touted main villains who have not originated in the comics. And Shazam 2 joins 3 other DC movies all time that also features solely original villains, namely Nuclear Man from Superman 4. So stick with us on DC films through the years, and you'll
Coming
hear our thoughts
soon.
about that. And Nathaniel Burke from Steel, and Laurel Hidaire from Catwoman. Oh, yeah, I hope it branches out better than those other 3. If I'm being
Now,
honest with you.
I'll fully admit I enjoyed Steel when I first watched it back when I was
It's been so
it came
long
out
that
in
I don't even
'97.
remember it. I
So
don't even remember it.
I watched it probably like late '90s, early 2000s. I haven't watched it since like mid 2000s, so I know when we get to that, which ironically I'll be getting to it within the next couple months over on my podcast, Comic Book Rundown, the rundown reviews over there. So I remember that movie being fine, but
I like
this,
Shaq, so
yeah, and that's what I said. Fine.
it can't be.
But no,
It's not as bad as Kazam, is it?
no, I think it's better.
Okay, okay.
But Kazam had a lot of problems.
Yeah, Chris, that was my thoughts as well. Like, oh, I hope you outkick your other people in this category.
having its own I
I will check that out on the game.
have to. Oh, the game, come back over the comic book rundown in a couple months and you'll hear my coverage on it. So no, like this, they're new characters. Cool, that's fine. Like the bad thing about Shazam is he only really has a handful of characters that he can villains he can, fight against. Because he doesn't in the comics, he doesn't really go against a lot of gods. That's usually Wonder Woman's territory. And so now he actually will be fighting some gods. And cool. That's awesome. It makes
and
sense.
and there's a rumor that Wonder Woman will show up in this film.
Cannot confirm.
Cannot confirm or deny. But
Maybe
yeah, so that would even lend a little bit more to that, and maybe she knows. Maybe she'll give him the lowdown on these two gods.
and then
I'm
she gets
thinking
called away
the
to her
wizard.
island or something.
I think the wizard is going to be the one to do that. So I don't know
I think
what
so.
she's going
But
to play
I mean,
into this.
yeah, it's joining the ranks of these three films with these original villains. Okay, so like look
Just
what
give me a good script. Like the first film, I
yeah,
love the
you
first film.
don't have
So
to live up to anything. Like you are creating these new characters and you can say how good or bad they are.
yeah. So we're excited. We can't wait to get some more Shazam news. Hopefully, we'll get that and a trailer coming this weekend. Uh,
Fingers crossed.
next on the docket, Joe. James Gunn has been a little interactive on Twitter lately, and he basically confirms something that has me excited but hesitant at the same time. Uh, and I'll read out his exact quote. He said, "The DCU will be connected across film and TV and animation." And someone as well asked him, and he added that games to be connected to the DCU as well. That one has me a little nervous because I
Yeah.
like the freedom that games have. I don't want them to be tied into continuity that they have to cut in. But I will say I would have loved an Avengers game and Avengers 2 game. So like
The problem with
it,
the games is you're basically basing it off of X material.
yeah.
And so that's your template. You're we'll go with Avengers Age of Ultron. So Age of Ultron is based off, the video game would be based off the movie. Well, you have to get to these parts, right? Like, so all right, let's get to where Ultron comes alive and you have to fight in Stark Tower and then
Yeah.
we gotta go over to Sokovia. Like, let the games sit. The games are their own thing.
I
All the games
will
says it right here. Games
yeah.
is pushing it. 100% agreed.
I agree with that as well because like I said, I love that the game Spider-Man, for example, Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I
Correct.
love that they're their own thing. I don't know anything when I'm playing the game of what's going to happen.
The
But
Arkham
it-
games, like those are perfect
yes,
example of like, all right,
well,
cool. We're gonna
minus
destroy the world.
Arkham Knight, because if you've read even one Red Hood, if you've read anything Red Hood, you knew what that was very early on into that.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that those games are their own thing.
Oh yeah,
You know?
well, even that is true because Arkham Knight isn't exactly Red Hood, so they
No,
made their own twists on the game as well. So I like the animation part of that, Joe, that uh he talks about
no,
here.
and that's I'm not gonna. I have stated numerous times that DC does not need to do Marvel,
No,
and this sounds like they're doing Marvel. I'm not. I'm not against it. Don't get me wrong. I'm right there with you. I'm all for it. But Marvel has already taken the steps to do that. They haven't completely. Well, no, they have completely done it because Peggy Carter was in
yeah, in
Multiverse
Multiverse of
Madness.
Madness, and you saw her in What If
Um,
first. One of the people on Twitter asked him, "You mean animated movies will also be canon to current slash upcoming DCU?" And he said, "Yes, some. So not
and
all."
that I'm okay with.
Yeah, because like
It
the Harley
is
Quinn should exist as its own thing and
yes.
stay going, and you could do other things, bring him in. It really
Do you
it has me,
remember?
but the games is where you draw the line. I don't
Yeah,
think card
100%.
game games. Yeah,
Do you remember the Batman Gotham Knights movie that came out between Batman Begins and The Dark
yeah,
Knight?
with all the shorts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is technically canon to the Dark Knight universe
Oh,
because
okay.
least that's what I was told
I was gonna say
way back when
Batman
it came
never
out.
been as fantastical as he is in that. Like several of those are really good shorts when he
But
fights
those
Deadshot, for
are
example.
but the whole point of that movie is these kids that are talking their stories of Batman. So of course he's gonna be fantastical.
This is a good point too. Chris says, I think games could be used to showcase what happens between movies or series, kind of
Yes,
like the
and that's
X3 game.
and that's what I think the movie should be. That's what Batman Gotham Knights was
Yeah.
for the Dark Knight series. Like, do that. If the animated movies will help bridge the gap between okay, say you got Man of Steel and Man of Steel 2, and you have a Superman Man of Tomorrow that bridges the gap between these two movies. Perfect. Okay, cool. Yes, we have a connection because you won't be able to have these actors come like maybe they can come in and do the voice work, or you won't be able to have them turn around and do a movie and then another movie the next year and then another movie the next year. Like they need rest time, you know?
If you're doing let's say the Suicide Squad, doing another Suicide Squad movie before the film or after it, you come out with an animated showcase featuring the origins of each of the
Correct.
villains
Like
in the
that's
main.
perfect.
That perfect. Would love it. I would love to see. We got it with Peacemaker, but I would love to see how Deadshot became Deadshot. How, uh, oh my God, Javelin Man became Javelin Man. How Weasel even
Arms
came
fall off
about.
guy. Arms fall off
So
guy, whatever the hell his name is.
how
Yeah, like,
Calendar Man became hard as fuck. So, yeah, like there's so much that you
yeah.
could show me in this, and I think
The potential there is great.
yes, you just like all the games said, you can't push it too far, and I think
Correct.
games might be biting off the apple a little bit. Like focus if you only sign for 4 years, focus on film, TV, and I do like animation. And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has really blown the doors off of what potentially some of these superhero
It has.
animated stuff they will do. They're
Which
they're
hey,
open to a lot more.
that's great, you know, because now we can actually get some of this stuff to be canon and to actually
Can we
work
get my
together.
can we get my sequel for Batman and Ninja Turtles, please? That you teased. Would love for that to happen. I really enjoyed that film.
I
Uh,
mean, we
don't
got
see it happening, but
fine. I still need to watch that one, actually.
that's a really good. And the voice acting. I think the voice acting was the same from Batman Instinct or Ultimate Instinct or something like. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but it's
Okay.
really really good.
It's okay.
Uh, So, Joe, like I said, I'm just liking that he's been active on Twitter. Joker Faliadu finishes pre-production, begins principal photography. This is expect minimal leaks, as most of the filming would be done indoors. This was via home of DCU.
Chris
How
Evans agrees
excited?
with you.
Oh, there you
We
go.
absolutely need a sequel to that.
There you go. What do you think about this, Joe? Are you excited? Because I am not. Like I watched the
I
first one, thought it was cool. Like the first time I watched it, but didn't have any vibes to go back. And I love that it made a lot of money. But
I think I've watched this. What did I see it twice in
I
theaters?
think I've only seen it once.
I may have only seen it once in theaters. I want to watch it again if I haven't already watched it, and I mean I will at some point, probably before the second one comes out. But at the end of that movie, I had no inclination that we were gonna get a second one. Like we didn't need one. I'll watch this second movie, but I'm not like I I, I know I'm on
On the
a
game, I don't think the budget's going to be super high for this one. I can see it being low as well, maybe a little bit more for people they're hiring, like Lady Gaga and Joaquin. But I
yeah
still think it's going to be
those
pretty,
are names. Lady
especially
Gaga
if it's
has come
if
around on acting.
like it's fully indoors. It'll be very little CGI, if any. So it's very cheap compared to your average superhero film for sure.
Yeah, this one I'm not like I'll go see it, but I'm not. I know I'm on DC podcast, and I really should be paying attention to this. But like, okay, it's a
I'm
DC movie. I'll go watch it. Like, I
I'm the
don't
same
need
way, Joe.
to
Same way.
have the hype and build up to get me to go see. This not for me. Like,
Th-
I'm gonna see it already. You know.
yeah, this is not going to hype me and build me up anyway to go see this film because it's not a pew pew bang bang going like big adventure or anything like that. It's a non superpowered uh,
Well, maybe.
movie that masquerades as a superhero movie. Is essentially the way that they told their story.
See,
So
but you just got to couch it as a comic book movie and not
yeah,
a superhero movie.
There you go. There you go. Comic book movie.
If there's anything I've learned that if you say comic book movie, that yeah, it encompasses
Road
a
to
lot
Perdition. Yeah.
of things, and superhero movie will get the people. It's the popcorn flick of the summer. It'll get butts and seats, but when you misadvertise it, that's when you lose
Woo.
stuff. Wow, really?
Twice. Now, I will say that they're probably financing the entire thing themselves this time rather than put it out and not get all the benefits of the
We're talking
uh
about. I mean, I'm sure Hamada is totally behind this, right? Right?
you'll use it for
For your accolade.
for articles talking about how great of a job, yeah.
Oh,
But we will be checking this out, but I'm with you on this, Joe. This is not as much for me.
sorry.
Even last I yeah. We're open. We episode we talked about ideas. We're not against any ideas.
Maybe
Stuff
look, Final Crisis is
is
a
fantastic.
wonderful comic.
Down on the
There are
bottom
some issues.
row. Down
Yeah,
on the bottom row.
over there.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. Yeah, there's my F. It's over there. Actually, you might be able to kind of see it right there. Yeah, I love Final Crisis. Final Crisis was a great miniseries.
Agreed, Joe. I would love to see that
I,
adapted at
I
some
would love to
point.
see a lot of the the event series put into place. Like Infinite Crisis would be great to do. The problem is you need about 20 years of buildup, or I mean, you can make it happen in I don't know 5 years. But
I'll be going home. I'll be going upstairs later into my chanting room and lighting the candles for a animated deceased couple movies, but I don't think that'll ever happen. Uh, on the game says it means both Joaquin and Lady Gaga and Todd Phillips are getting paid 100% when you bring
yep,
in that as well. Uh, yeah, so Joe, the final piece of news for us, we have a Black Adam box office update. The actuals for Black Adam sixth weekend at the box office came in slightly lower than overseas in the US. Black Adam grossed 3.3 million domestically for 162.9 million total, and overseas it grossed 2.6 million for 214.9 million, 377.8 global cumulative box office, 2 million away from Black Widow. And Black Adam jumped straight to the top of the iTunes charts for the US for after its debut on digital platforms. So it's going to be making more money, but I don't think it's the success that they were hoping for with the money that they spent
but
on the
again,
film.
15 years of production hell. Like
The
what we
true, like I'm not one that looks at that. I'm glad that the
plus
JSA
COVID.
is
Like COVID
established.
killed everything. Like killed momentum for a lot of stuff. But
I'm glad that the DCU established JSA, Doctor
correct.
Fate, Hackman,
I
all that.
this movie, while it had a lot going against it, I mean, it was only in theaters for 3 weeks before Black Panther came out and just demolished it.
This seemed like it should be more of an August movie and let
It should have been
Roger.
early it should have been a summer movie.
Yeah,
Definitely should it's a popcorn summer movie. And
there's
I
a
don't
that's a
know
good
why they
point as
did
well. On the game says, don't forget that Black Widow made at least another 125 billion on Disney
correct.
Premier Access. Yes, which, but we'll probably talk about this next week. Legendaries left WBD as a partner, and
Yeah.
that was because of the move that they did of putting partly to blame because of the move they did of putting their movies directly from theatrical to the streaming services. So the Premier Access might not have like that idea might have hurt WBD and Limelight out the game. But it's sad. I wish it would have made more money. Shazam was a bit more profitable, and that was truly sandwiched between two heavy hitters on both sides of it.
But here's the other thing is Shazam was marketed as a fun movie. This one wasn't. The all
That's
The
true.
Rock was promoting was like it's the hierarchy of the DC universe is going to change, or come watch this movie where I kick ass.
That should have been more what they lean into and talked about more, Joe. To be honest with you, I agree with you there. That might have been a mistake. I do like Rock's passion, but I think someone
Oh
said
yeah,
on here,
100%.
include I think it might have been Al in the game who said something along the lines of he's not going to be. They'll keep him around, but not in as big of a capacity as DJ thought. Which
Yeah, he won't be in every single. Like he's not going to be
no,
the thing that connects all of these movies. it's gonna
Well,
be Henry Cavill.
yeah, they
Like
can
one
use the
hundred.
JSA to connect him with the Justice League rather than give us a straight Black Adam Superman film like he's wishing.
Yeah,
So
I don't think we're ever gonna see that movie in all
I,
honesty,
I'm in a pretty
because
much
we
agreement
need
with
to
you on
have a
that.
Black Adam Shazam movie first, or and barring that, Black Adam, like you said, in a Justice Society movie.
Yes.
So
So, Joe, we have a final thing to end off our night, our Smallville retro recaps. Season 1, episode 20, the penultimate episode. Joe made a good point of maybe these weren't even called penultimate episodes at this point in time, or not the way we known them to
not the way we
be,
know him
where they
today,
set up the finale or even take care of the finale, and you have the last
but
episode.
there was stuff in here, like they're talking about the spring formal, and they've been talking about that for like the last couple of weeks, and now it's like they were all on it. We also get the octagon piece that shows up for the first time, which I know is a major player in the seasons going forward.
And Roger Nixon as well, being the greaseball that he is.
Yeah.
And
So like,
he's a throughout the thing, and he's the one that he it'll come. He'll have more stress and more conflict with the Kents come our season finale.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's there was a good amount of setup, but not what we know.
I
Like
just.
I said,
I just thought the whole thing of Lana being like just getting an explosion with rocks and then being able to see through other
you
people's
want to talk about
eyes.
that explosion? Okay, so let's talk about that for real quick. It's her and Whitney riding horsebacks through the back 40 or whatever the heck they're doing. And then they hear sirens, they go investigate, and they're standing by this pipe that is shaking like crazy. And Whitney runs off to go tell these guys, and it's like, don't move, stay right here. Huh. I wonder what's gonna happen to this giant pipe that's shaking like crazy when that one over there has fire blowing out of it. Well, I guess I'll just stay here. Get the F away from that, you dumb. Anyway,
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous, and I think I hope this works. Let's try it. Uh, I have a picture of it. I don't know if it'll work, but
what
it
you
might be
got
too
here?
small. Outrageous, Joe.
How?
Outrageous. Outrageous. So I'll take this away now. I'm sorry. I just
No, you good.
yeah,
I don't. Uh, what the thing that really gets me? So she gets these powers to see through the eyes of the first person that like came up to her and touched her, which happens to be a cop. Um,
who's an evil cop that's killing people. Like conveniently, that's the person that touches you,
13
and
Club.
his motivation. I mean, talk about weird motivation. Like, I'm going to be the best cop. Why don't you just like practice being a cop and be the best cop rather than stage?
I didn't
Uh,
know. I didn't know that this was happening back then. I thought it was just a today problem. But seriously, he's an idiot.
yeah,
What really gets me though is Lana was watching the bullet hit this guy. Lana like saw the bullet coming at her.
that was like the
That's
darkest thing about
freaky.
this whole episode is that once they shot him, everything cut off
Yeah,
for her seeing wise, and that was wild. There wasn't much else in this episode, like Joe said, besides the disc and the
the spring formal
Roger
talk.
and the Roger Nielsen being mad because obviously he's going to go investigate the
Yep.
Kents now, and we're going to get the issues that we get for the finale.
Yeah,
Uh,
they didn't. Other than, and like I mentioned it, Ryan over on Talkville had talked about it. He's the one that brought up the fact that the penultimate episode didn't really feel like penultimate episode. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It really didn't, did it? Um, Other than that, like nothing. There was really nothing in Talkville that no new stuff that they gave any info that they gave away. So, but no, Smallville was fine. I am looking forward to the season finale because it has been too long. Like I remember it, but it's been too long since I've seen it. So I'll be look forward to see what if my
I
memories are correct.
I don't remember a thing about the finale.
Oh, I just
So
remember the first
besides the
episode.
tornado, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I remember Lana being sucked up in the tornado in the car, and her seeing Clark pop up out of nowhere, and she yells, "Clark, get sucked up!" And then he goes running. And then I remember the beginning of season 2 when she magically doesn't realize, Oh, hey, he's got powers. Weird. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, it's still I don't think it'd be as bad as where Lex was, say, jumped out of the limo and just doesn't look back, and Clark super speeds away, and then doesn't even realize
Nice.
that Clark isn't there. That was the worst one I've seen throughout this entire show so far. Is that you're the smartest person in this universe, supposedly, or one
Hey,
of, and you can't look back over your shoulder for half a second to
he
wonder
did
where the
talk about that in Talkville, how it made
yes,
no sense for him to look back, or he
yeah,
couldn't look back or something.
yeah,
But no, it's kind of one of those things where Clark is doing a okay job keeping his identity secret this season.
yeah,
And I say okay because he like this something that I didn't like on this episode is he gets out. Lana sees Chloe being buried alive, and so he gets to the place, and he has to hop up on the windmill to use his X-ray vision to find where Chloe is being buried. The dude just buried him. Why is
yeah.
all of the grass looking like it's never been touched?
He put sides down, Joe. He's ahead of the game.
Apparently,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's actually an excellent point
because
to know,
I
like,
think
plot.
Michael even brought up as like, or maybe Tom did of like, yeah. So he rips her out of the ground and puts that coffin on top of the ground, and at no point did Chloe like, oh, I'm questioned about being above ground.
Yeah, it was really odd about that, and this episode is not one of the best.
It was fine.
There's a couple
It
good
was fine.
moments in there. There's some good moments in there that
There's
you
some cute
can
moments, yeah.
yeah.
Like
So,
the Chloe and Clark scenes were cute, especially Clark is kind of confessing to Lana his feelings for Chloe,
yeah.
and she starts to get a little jealous, sort of. We kind of saw some of that in the last few episodes where she was starting to question her relationship with Whitney.
She was gonna
Oh,
straight break up with him, and
speaking of
he's
Whitney, um, he finds the medals,
yeah.
his dad's medals from Vietnam, and he's like, "Oh, my dad never talked about it." Dude, I can tell you right now, of course he didn't talk about it. That was like one
Vi
of the worst blunders in American war history at all of going to Vietnam. Like, we fucked
Yeah,
up.
imagine
He's
being
not gonna talk about it.
in the jungles in Vietnam and not knowing where anybody can come from you from.
Yeah,
So,
like, he
yeah.
that was like, no, he's like, you talk to
Or
any person in Vietnam,
or he
they
didn't
don't talk about it,
or he didn't talk about it specifically because he was afraid you might think of him as a hero and want to follow in the footsteps when war sucks.
which he
So,
does do that.
which he
He
does
does
too.
that
So,
next season.
maybe there's good reason why he didn't tell you, Whitney.
So I know, and I mean, we'll get to it when we talk about it. But when he leaves the show and he dies, shocker, like surprise, whatever, spoiler alert. Um, he left this Smallville show to go do a Flash Gordon TV show, and I actually enjoyed that Flash Gordon show.
Did you really?
I did. I actually have the DVD. I think still over there.
Did it only
Yeah,
get
I
one
got it over that.
season?
You're right there. You only got one season. It was on Sci-Fi, and
Oh, okay.
it got canceled after one season. I enjoyed that show. I thought he did a really good job. Eric, however his last name is, I thought he did a really good job as Flash Gordon. The tricky part was that they had a instead of him being stuck on the other planet, they had this portal that took him back and forth, and so the beings from there would come to Earth constantly, and it was just I don't know. It was the whole thing. It was enjoyable.
I hope they get him on the pod too. Really be interested
They
to hear
talked
his
about trying to
thoughts.
get him on, and I
Yeah.
really do. I
They're
think
gonna get listeners. Please check out Talkville this week because they're going to get a new guest. Like they're going to have somebody. They're kind of hyping up the finale.
yeah. Allegedly,
A
it's gonna
few
be 2
episodes.
episodes
Yeah,
for their finale of the
yeah.
finale.
So check that out. We'll be talking about that. We're excited. I guess we'll do one in the middle of there too. Uh, I'm excited to talk about this finale. I think it's going to be a really great episode. So regardless of what we get from Stargirl or Titans next week, I think we're going to have a great episode to talk about in
I
Smallville
think so.
season finale. Joe, that's everything tonight. Listeners, thank you for sticking with us in the chat. Chris, Evans, Al the game, Noel, Ernesto. Thank you so much. Obviously, S Bubs being the man in the chair, Derpy as well. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back. Us and Joe's Mixer will be back next week with more fun. So thank you guys,
Bye,
and
guys.
see you next week.